Good morning, everyone. This is Shashwat over here from Design Teenage. Hope you all are doing well and preparing well for your NATA 2023 third attempt exam. Today, our topic of discussion for this live session is all about color theory and color psychology, which we need to know in depth for answering most of the questions which come in NATA from your theory of drawing part. Now we are over here to discuss regarding the same. In the meantime, before we start the session, I would just like to mention a few things. The very first thing is that, guys, make sure whenever you're watching this video, irrespective of which year are you giving the NATA exam, this thing remains the same until and unless the syllabus is altered. Okay, and this is not only for NATA exam, but also students giving the NIFT NIT UCEED exam. You can also take some lessons from this particular lecture because color theory and color psychology chapter remains the same for you guys as well. Apart from this, what I must mention is that people who are watching our lectures and you are willing to connect with us, our contact number is always available to you in the description box. Go check it out. And apart from that, whenever you need in help, make sure you connect us. And don't forget to download the Design Teenage app. Link is in description. You connect us, reach out to us and get a complete guidance and help till the day you are not admitted in college. That's what Design Teenage promises to each and every one of you. And moreover, if you need any help for your college admission or so, make sure you connect us and we don't charge anything for that. Just be aware about. Okay, so that's all, guys. With this, let us start with the session. Whatever help you need, if you want to connect us, make sure you check out the description box for the same. And let's start with today's important topic, color theory and color psychology. We will start the session within the next 15-20 seconds. Just be there, share this video with all your friends, and don't forget to stay tuned with Design Teenage. Good evening, guys. Am I audible to everyone? Am I audible to all of you? Please connect your audio, students, whosoever has not connected their audio, and we can proceed with today's session. We'll just wait for next few seconds and then we will proceed with the class. Okay, I guess I'm audible to everyone. Am I? Arya, can you hear me? Arya, am I audible to you? You is allowed, I guess. Sure, all your audio and everything is allowed. There is nothing hindered from over here. So you can unmute yourself if you want. Mahak, am I audible to you?
Yes, sir.
Okay, fine. Let's proceed with the class. Arya, please check your network connectivity. Fine. Let's proceed with today's session. So today we are going to talk about and discuss related to your color theory and color psychology. So let's start with today's session and let's discuss in depth what all we have over here and what all we need to discuss about color theory and color psychology. Okay, so just give me a second and then we can proceed further. Right. So first of all, whenever we talk about color theory or color psychology, we need to understand a very basic aspect or a very simple thing about any of this, structures, or sorry, or about any of this, compositions that you see. That everything, when you see or when you understand, it is in respect with a color. Now, when you tell that there is no color to a composition, there is an effect of light and shadow that you are getting from there. And there has to be some color that is getting reflected until and unless it's a age-old black and white movie that you are seeing, right? So apart from that, always there is an aspect of color, whatever you see, and you might tell that, okay, there is no color that influences me as of now from this composition or so. But almost every time you see that there is somehow or the either color, there is a color via which, you are being emphasized or you are being affected. Okay, so these are the things that we see over here. And apart from that, what I must add on over here to this point is that whenever you see these colors or whatever color you look at, there are several different aspects that we need to understand in terms of what are these colors, how are they formed, okay, how are they segregated from each other, and when colors combine, what is the final outcome that we are get. This is all about color theory that we should know or that we are going to know today. Okay, so without wasting any time, let's proceed further and let's move ahead to our first set of what are these colors and how are they segregated. So any color that you see, or they come from this very simple color wheel which you see in first page, and this color wheel itself, just in it, describes a lot of things in terms of value, saturation, in terms of the different shades of color, what is primary, secondary, tertiary, and much more. So over here, what we have are the primary colors. Primary colors are red, blue, and yellow. Cannot be made from mixing other colors. So the very simple concept about the primary colors are that the primary colors, cannot be made from mixing any other colors. They are obtained in its unique form. What is secondary color now? So all these primary colors, what you see, combination of two primary colors can form a secondary color. Now these are orange, purple, and green. Now what are the tertiary colors? Tertiary colors are the colors that are made from mixing one primary and a secondary colors. Very simple to understand. Now, when we talk about this as a color theory, we need to understand a second basic aspect as well, which talks about that what kind of look and feel we get from that color. Does that color gives us a sense of warmness or calmness, right? So see, unknowingly and unknowingly, as I was mentioning earlier, we use these colors somewhere or the either. And we see that there are several differences also that we create. For example, in color temperature, we have something as warm on your left hand side, cool on the right hand side. Now, what is this warm and cool? This is the sensation, that is the look and feel that you get from that particular color. Okay, so for example, now today, let's assume you are in a family gathering, okay, and it's in a huge hall, you have a family gathering, everyone would like to see each other, and so at that point of time, what are the kind of colors that you would like to have over there? Those are warm and white color lights, right? Now, again and again, I must mention that white is actually not a color. It's the brightness to the extreme level. We will discuss regarding that in the upcoming pages which we have in this video. Now, over here, what we must talk about over here is that we have warm colors, okay? So now we are willing to have these set of colors in a family gathering, in a food court or so. Now, will you like to have the same kind of bright lights or all these colors or so, these warm colors, in a movie theater? Or let's assume in a pub or something like that? Definitely not. You would like to have local light kind of things over there. For example, your very light blue, very dark blue kind of in a low light. This kind of scenarios are expected, right? So why this? Because this is how our brain works. This is how we analyze colors, and this is how we expect it to be. And this, see, everything, whatever we describe over here, this has been also brought into impact by a human being itself. No one from heaven has gave us a written book under which all these things were written, and we are just following that. These are made by humans. So how human has made something, you need to understand this very simple statement. When human being makes something, they make it as per as their perception. So when they perceive these things in this way, they have segregated it in this way, and hence the theory that we are studying over here today. Okay, so let's move ahead and go through a few examples in terms of like, your warm colors and cool colors or so. Now we have over here a very interesting thing, which makes it like, very important as well for this particular section. That is your saturation or the intensity of color. Okay, so what is saturation? Saturation or intensity of color is nothing but, for example, you have a color today. Okay, you have a colored plastic door or something like that panel. You can see through it some part. Okay, so for example, it's translucent. So over there, the intensity of the color in that plastic panel is low. Now you have a particular same color but opaque plastic. In that, the intensity of the color will increase. Okay, so I would like to quote some example over here. Just give me a second and then we can move ahead. So let's proceed with the session. Let me take over here this particular bottle, what you see in my hand. Okay. So what I have is a very simple bottle over here. And how does it describe the color also that we must talk about? See, for this bottle, this part, you can automatically tell this is a yellow color bottle. This part, what do you see? Can you see my fingers and all on this side? Can you guys see my fingers and all on this side? Yes, the other side of the bottle. You can. So this is a translucent, not fully, but somehow you can see. I will not say it's fully transparent. When you go to this top part, notice very clearly how towards the neck the density is getting increased. The intensity of color is getting increased. Can you see? Can you see that?
Yes.
So this is what, like, the increase in saturation. Okay. Now over here, see the same color, complete opaque. Again, intensity increased. Over here, it's comparatively again much more. So this is how, this is what we are talking about in terms of saturation. And when we are talking about value, the best example to know, understand value is addition of impurities. So for example, if today, like, while buying this phone case, I was having it as completely transparent. Now, as soon as, like, this went from, and this particular phone case, the days passed, this has turned somewhat like this. Now, this was not yellow, this was actually transparent. Now, there are phone cases which you have seen completely transparent like this, and some cases wherein, like, the transparency is blocked, it's very opaque, white color, but opaque, right? Something like, you will see it's kind of as if like it has been taken out of a fridge. That kind of like fully opaque white color material also you get. Over here, with the addition of impurity, this phone case has become like this. Okay. So whenever a color, now this is just an example, whenever a color you see that the what is value, we are having a term over there as well. So the increase or decrease in value depends upon, like, the addition of black and white to that color that we call as tint. So addition of tint or like increment of, like, your shade turns it into complete black, and, like, increasing the tint turns it into complete white. That's what we are talking about here. Okay. Now let's move ahead. So see over here, a few examples are there. Now in 100% saturation, this is 20% saturation. This is 100% value, 20% value. Now when you increase the value, okay, much more, you can obtain tint as well. Like you can obtain it as completely white. How, like, if you go for 0% value, it will be completely black. Same way, if you 100% is the central point, it gives you the absolute color. If you go more in value, you will get it as completely white. So just on your phone, if you have increased, like, the if you try to increase your brightness level, okay, and decrease it, so you will see that after doing 2 times, automatically your picture, whatever color you take, it will be black. If you do it in the other way around, vice versa, then it will be completely white. Okay, now we have over here a few examples to, like, from whatever we have quoted or seen, and a beautiful portrait. And like from here, our starts our next part actually, which we will see. So we have talked about all these colors also. This is a very beautiful monochromatic composition. What is a monochromatic composition? We need to understand that. Monochromatic composition is a composition made by via one color. Now you might be asking me at this very point that, sir, like, what about this skin color of that lady? What about her here? That is black. Again, the same thing comes over here. I have mentioned that white and black, what you see, those are not colors. And you can, so over here, what is a monochromatic composition? First, let us understand that. One color, definitely monochromatic composition when we are talking about, it's absolute one color composition. But you will have to remember in mind at the same very point that it is a one color composition, not a one tint, one value, sorry, not a one value, one saturation composition that we are talking about, or not a one tint, one shade composition that we are talking about. So hence there can be several shades, there can be several tints in the composition where the addition of white or black. And depending upon the different saturation, the different value you use, this kind of composition can be formed, and it is definitely made of one and one color only. Okay. So now if we move below, we will see a few other compositions wherein, like, there have been several different color compositions used. We will not stop over here. You guys can come back always and check out this particular compositions over here. What we need to understand over here, one important example which we have, if we go below, is that how color changes the mood. Okay, but just by the addition of color, you can understand the mood or the whole setting of the composition. For example, what we have over here, the left hand side one, like definitely there is facial expression, there is everything, but depending upon the color utilized, it changes the mood. For example, let's assume, like, this thing could have been changed by a color and a few slight differences as well. This one composition on the left hand side, it could have been in a dark color, same to as the right hand side. How you see the colors could have been altered, and the facial expression could have been changed to give it as, like, these two people, they are lying down in a sad, they are thinking about something deep. Whereas on the right hand side, that could have been made more colorful, facial expressions again changed to happiness, and could have been made it in that way that the boy is recovering and, like, he's in a very nice situation, and everyone is happy about that. Okay, now the one more other important thing about color is that color creates emphasis. Now we know that, like, not only color, it's a light and shadow effect as well. So for example, in an absolute black color page, if you see something as a white square box, do you notice something else or not on that page? You will definitely remember that white box. That is what it does. Now over here, without the arrows also, if you are given some time to look at the composition carefully, you will definitely remember this, that there were, like, 2-3 people wearing red color pants, because that is what is being highlighted, again being emphasized, which is a very important design principle, emphasized depending upon the surrounding of the composition as well. You will not remember what this person was wearing, what is over here, or what these people are doing or so, though they are located at a very far distance. So this is how it all works. Now, if we move ahead, a few other compositions, we will see some guidelines that we need to follow. Saturation and value, don't overdo it. Use it to guide the viewer, use it to tell the story, use it to change the mood and draw attention to something. Now we have over here a very important part, color harmonies. Okay. So what is color harmonies? And we need to understand that how they are being utilized, and how, like, the different color schemes, the different color compositions that we see around us, they are being formed. It becomes very important at this point to understand this, because this is where from your questions really comes. Okay, and this is not only for your NATA exam, or for if anyone is watching in respect to their NIFT NIT UCEED exam, you are watching this lecture, that is very much equally important for these exams as well. It is not only about that, it is also important to understand this, just because from here you will be, like, getting questions, and you will be having these theories and topics throughout your college as well. So let us go in depth and understand what is monochromatic composition. Monochromatic, as I mentioned earlier, is nothing but one color composition, best for single subjects. Atmospheric, we will go through some compositions and see how, like, they are made, or what are we seeing in over there. Okay, so over here, what we have, like, is the Herman David Ascordes, the ambush. So this is, like, a picture made. So every picture you will get the person who has made it and the name of the composition wherever it exists. If something is, like, normal, something is not that prominent or so, there you will not get. Over here, it's completely made out of the different tints and shades of yellow that we can obtain. Just look through these compositions. There is nothing much to explain. It's all about how these things have been done and what we have seen, or, like, what we are getting in over here. Okay. Next one is the forest fire. See just by the uses of like the simple one red color, how this whole thing has been done. Next one again goes something similar. And we have our next set now. So we are done with like this thing. Now we should move ahead. Okay, Manan is asking monochrome. Yeah, definitely, Manan. This is what we are talking about over here. Monochromatic composition is what we were discussing, and this is as a whole. Today we are discussing color theory and color psychology. Just stay tuned, and you can like check out all the lectures or whatever in-depth discussion is there, and you can connect us via the contact number in the description box if you need any help. So let's move ahead and let's talk about your analogous color scheme. Okay. So what is analogous color scheme? Analogous color scheme is nothing but color adjacent on wheel, easy on eyes, peaceful, comfortable mood, seen in nature. This is what we are talking about. Analogous is what adjacent colors on color wheel. So there are three colors which are adjacent. They will form a composition will be your analogous color scheme. Now analogous color scheme can be very tricky at some point. For example, this one. Usually at a glance, when you look at it, you find it as monochromatic. This might give you a look and feel. But when you look in depth, you see that the different usage of colors that are existing. Okay. So this is what we are talking about. The very good example of analogous color scheme is in nature. The green, yellow, and blue color for nature, what you see is almost likely at most of the places we see what the ring that we see is your monochromatic composition. Few other good examples of monochromatic composition over here, and then we move ahead to triadic. Triadic is equally distant colors on color wheel. So this is the color wheel you have seen before, and now one color and three gaps in between, then a next color, and this is how. So everything is equally distant from each other, and if they are placed equally distant, this is how it will be on the color wheel. Hard to pull off. Hard to pull off means hard to create actually. Best for cartoon and surreal scenes. Okay. So over here we have a few good examples for your analogous color scheme, triadic color scheme over here. Now we have a few good examples. See what just we have mentioned earlier, the best for making like cartoons and pulling them out. This is a real good example of that. And the next one which we have is your complementary color scheme. What is complementary? Again, very simple. You need to remember these things and then try to identify in the compositions that we are going through. What is complementary? Opposing colors on color wheel. So any two colors that are opposite to each other are very much contrasting. Any colors that are opposite to each other will create a good sense of contrast. Then we are talking about like, that it has complementary color scheme. Okay. So complementary color scheme are opposing colors on color wheel. Very popular, naturally pleasing to eye. Use one color predominantly. This is what we are talking about. Okay. So make sure you remember whenever we are talking about complementary color scheme, then complementary color scheme will be two colors absolute opposite to each other. Okay. Now here are a few examples we have been through. We have seen you can go through these compositions and understand the usage of the complementary color scheme in these compositions. See, most of the compositions it is red and green, but it shouldn't be always the same. There can be several things which can happen. Okay. So make sure you remember that there can several things which can happen also. Now over here, what we are going to see next. Say, okay, this is a good example of usage of yellow and blue, wherein again we see like your this particular complementary color scheme. Now we have something as split complementary, and this split complementary is what is important for your exam. Split complementary is nothing but till now you are taking actually two colors opposite to each other. Right now there will be a color and the color opposite to each other which is there. The two adjacent color to that opposite color is what you are going to consider. Plus the a basic color. So all these three form a composition. They are known as your split complementary. Now see, this is why we always need a visual representation, because without visual representation, these things really become hard to understand. So this is similar to complementary, but one and extended. More creative freedom, feels lively and joyous. Okay. We have a few good examples of your split complementary color scheme over here. You can go through them, check out, and understand how they are working out or how they are playing a role. So now the next thing that we have over here is tetradic. Now we will not go into it, not at all required for exam. In PDF it's there, you can just read through it. That's all we have to tell. So if you move ahead, We have a summary of these whole thing as a whole. So just in one page, you can understand and you can recap. Saturation, don't overdo it, best for highlighting areas of interest or telling story. Value, use value of high contrast to draw attention. Use color harmonies for pleasing combinations. Monochromatic is one color. Analogous is adjacent color. Triadic is equally distant colors. Complementary is opposing colors. Split complementary, one complementary and extended. Double complementary, we will not go into discussion about. Okay. Now, these are the things for discussion. Color psychology is something related with, like, how we are supposed to discuss it or so. So, for example, whenever you see a color, this is a very simple, we will not go in much depth. And so the kind of question that comes is that identify the mood in the composition, or what is the color scheme, and what is the kind of look and feel that you get. These are the kind of things you get in terms of a question. So what is color psychology? Color psychology is nothing but whenever you see a composition, the kind of color or the as a whole, so over here we have one color, but as a whole, what the composition depicts, what is the look and feel. So for each and every color, you have a particular mood, a particular feel. For example, the very simple one, which most of you know, is white stands for peace, calmness, silent, lightweight, pure. These are the things that you should know. These are the terminological things that you will have to know and understand. And apart from that, we have black and a few other things also that you can go through. Over here, we have some of the questions that you guys are supposed to solve back at home. So that's all for this particular session, guys. Thanks a lot for people watching it live on YouTube. We will end the session for you guys over here. Make sure you stay tuned with us on Design Teenage. Share this with your friends. Check out all the details related to, your any sort of preparations or any sort of exam preparation related to NATA, NIFT, and UCEED. You can connect us. And make sure if you need any help, without hesitating, you connect us on our one simple contact number, which is available in description box. And make sure you download the Design Teenage app from Play Store. That's all for this particular session. We are ending it here for you guys. See you all in the upcoming session, and thanks a lot.